It would be better to be safe on dry land than on that boat somewhere. What if it leaks? What if it sinks?" Kesair looked at the sea, heaving and muscular and alive. Then she looked down at her feet, where the first wavelets of the inrushing tide were already lapping her toes. "The peninsula will be inundated today," she predicted, "and I had rather be on the boat when that happens." Turning her back on the others, she marched up the ramp. They followed her, timorously, casting anxious glances at the water and the land, as if there was a choice. They followed her. Even Lydra, in the end, boarded the boat. They pulled up the ramp, secured their vessel, and settled down to wait for the sea to float the boat. The water hissed around its timbers as the tide swept in, rising past all previous high tide marks. Rising and rising. There was a gentle bump. The boat shifted slightly. Its occupants tensed, but nothing happened. Then it rocked again, and they heard a grating sound down below. At that moment, men came over the horizon, running hard, yelling, waving weapons. "We're trapped here!" Lydra cried. "They'll kill us and take the boat." The running men drew closer, shouting threats and demands. Byth, who was a grandfather, regretted his age. Finton regretted his wound. Lydra shook his fist at Kesair. The women drew together in the centre of the boat as the sea, testing, tentative, gave a tug at the vessel. Then it wrenched the boat free from its blocks and swung it into the tide with a creak and a groan and a mighty rolling motion. Kesair gasped and caught hold of the nearest support. A cow bellowed. A goat bleated. The waves pounded in, devouring the shore, hurling the boat forward like a battering ram. Its attackers broke ranks and ran, making for the rapidly shrinking surface of the dry land. The sea pursued them, driven by a power beyond all understanding, reclaiming the earth. The boat was hurled across a shallow sandspit and into deeper, roiling water that swept it away like a leaf on a river. At first, its occupants were too dazed to do more than hang on and stare back at the land as it fell away from them. They were dazed by the rapidity with which they were launched. The square sail was still furled at the mast. The oars lay untouched in their oarlocks. No one was doing anything, except the sea, with its unexpected tidal surge. "Can't we steer this thing?" Kesair cried. Finton shook off his shock, and hurled himself toward the tiller. His wounded arm was the left, his right arm was undamaged, and strong enough to grasp the tiller and begin trying to bring some direction to the boat's gyrations. When she saw what he was doing, Kesair made her way to him, and crouched down beside him, adding her strength to his on the tiller. Through the wooden shaft, and up into their straining arms, came a sense of the boat, and the water beneath it. Their efforts seemed hopelessly minuscule, compared to the forces with which they struggled. Yet a faint response shuddered through the boat timbers. Out of sight, the rudder moved, making a statement against the tide. The prow of the boat edged northward. "Yes," Kesair said. "Yes." "We can't do anything with the tiller alone," Finton told her. "We need the oars and the sail." She repeated his words in a shout of command, addressing them to whoever would respond. Byth and Lydra were the first. It was hard work, and they were awkward, being carpenters rather than sailors. Those who knew how to manage the boat had died defending it. Some of the women began trying to help them. Confusion mounted. Men and women got in each other's way, stumbled, lost their tempers, and all was somehow broken, snapped like a twig. Finton